All right, let's get rid of this presentation screen. By the way, this is literally the first time I have ever tried to give a presentation over Google Hangouts. So I am pretty sure I'm going to mess this up several times. So my apologies in advance for my learning curve on this technology. Alrighty, can you see me now? Give me a thumbs up to the camera if you can see me. Ashley's giving me a thumbs down. Yeah. Oh man. All right, let's see what I'm doing. Ah, how about now? Yay! Yeah. All right, we're all here. All right, well, welcome to the presentation for NGSS Chemistry and Chemistry 2. Some of you I know already from Chemistry last year, welcome back, but the vast majority of you are going to be new to me this year. So I'm really excited that we're actually going to be working face-to-face. It was a bit of a downer last year when we weren't allowed to use any of this Google technology to actually speak face-to-face. So I'm very much looking forward to getting into our synchronous sessions and having our breakout groups and get to know each other a little bit better, because that is impossible to do over email. All right, I'm going to leave it another minute or so before I get the presentation going, but I'm just going to remind you, please, to stop using the chat. Especially if you're playing Call of Duty and using it to work out who's in imposter mode. You know who you are, the imposters amongst us. All right, okay, so this is all going to be very exciting. I'm going to put the slideshow back on, and then I'll talk you through what we're going to do for this year, or at least this section of the year. And then at the end, we'll have a little Q&A where you can ask me questions. There's a good chance I won't know the answers to all of the questions that you're going to ask. So if I don't know the answer, I'll write down your question. I'll go and talk to somebody who's cleverer than I am and has all the answers, and I'll get those back to you on email. All right? Okay, so fun and games. Here we go. Choose a window, and I'll do that one. All right, so welcome to chemistry for this year. Let's click on the slide. There we go. All right, so who are the teachers this year? Well, it's me, obviously, because that's why I'm hosting this call. So I'm going to be doing NGSS Chem for periods 1 and 2, and also Chemistry 2, or what we call Advanced Chemistry, on period 3. And then Miss Quarles is going to be doing the NGS Chemistry periods 3 and 4. Now, regardless of which of us you have, whether you have Miss Quarles or whether you have me, a lot of the materials that you're going to be getting over this semester will be produced by both of us together. So this makes our job a little bit easier. We're kind of tag teaming on the creation of the videos. So a lot of the time it'll be me, a lot of the time it'll be Miss Quarles. Either way, it's the same content. All right. Because Miss Quarles can't be here today, she has recorded a little message for her students. So here we go.
Mr. Topping, I think you have to unhook your headphones because we can't hear.
Really? Oh gosh, that's going to be a bit of a palaver. Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Costa. Let me do that right now.
Oh, for some reason, every time the counselor joins, it makes us lag.
Topping, you're muted.
Can you hear me now? Thumbs up.
Yes.
Why are you British?
Yes.
All right.
We can hear you now.
That's 2 mess ups so far. Let's see how many I can get to before the end of this presentation. Okay, so this schedule is something you should be pretty familiar with by now. You might have seen it on a couple of sessions already. All of our synchronous sessions are going to be in the mornings, either 8:30 to 9:30 or 10:15 to 11:15. So that's 1 hour, and that'll be twice a week. Also on Wednesdays is the community meeting. I'm not quite sure how those classes are going to fall out yet. We haven't got those class lists yet, but my understanding is that it's going to be mostly arranged by grade level, although don't hold me to that. That's going to be an opportunity for us to get together. It's kind of like a homeroom that you would have in middle school, where we can talk about any of the technology, if there's any problems you've got with distance learning. So if I am in your community meeting group, I'm your go-to guy if you've got any problems that aren't specific to any of the courses that you're taking this semester. And then the afternoons, if we look at the schedule, you'll see that this is all designated as your personal work time. Now, my feeling on this is that although it's in the schedule, 12:30 till 2 or 2:15 to 3:45, it's really up to you when you do this work. I mean, we understand that you've got a lot of things going on. Your lives are as hectic as ours are at the moment. So as long as you put in that hour, hour and a half after the synchronous session, it doesn't really matter when you do it. Okay, so don't feel if you're not sitting down 12:30 to 2 o'clock, you're somehow breaking the rules. As long as you get that work done in your free time, then there's no problem. Okay, that schedule's entirely up to you to manage. So what is the difference between the synchronous and the asynchronous? Well, really the synchronous time is for us to do things that require us communicating with each other. So it'll be warm-up questions. I'll be doing some demos, live Q&As where you can ask questions. We'll be breaking you out into breakout rooms. We'll be building the community in the classroom. The asynchronous stuff, or what we might have called homework back in the old days, will be the virtual labs that Miss Quarles and I are putting together. There'll be digital work packets on things like Edpuzzle or in Google Forms. We'll be looking at some data, practice problems, assigned readings, all that kind of stuff. So in an average week, you should expect to do 2 hours of synchronous and 3 hours of asynchronous. That's 5 hours for any particular class in a given week, which is considerably less than you were doing in the old schedule. So it has been, finagled so that you guys should be able to do this work at home without too much trouble. Bottom line is, though, this really does mean that we're pushing a lot of responsibility down on you to behave maturely and to behave like adults in this environment. I can't come round to your house and stand over your desk and point at you and say, oh, you should be doing your homework right now. So it's a lot of responsibility that's being pushed down on your shoulders. This is more like a college model than anything else. So what I'm really asking you guys to do this year is really step up to the plate, okay? Really take on your shoulders this maturity to do this work, to do it sensibly, to behave like adults, because otherwise it's just going to turn into the Wild West and no one's going to learn anything and no one's going to enjoy anything either. So I'm really pushing that responsibility down to you, and I'm really hoping that we can, as a community, step up and embrace our new responsibilities here. And it's not just doing the work. You guys are going to have to take care of yourselves, right? I mean, that means looking after yourselves physically and mentally, setting your own schedule, and really determining your level of engagement in the class. And for any parents that might be on this presentation right now, we need your help. We can't police in your house. So if you can help your kids get to sleep at a decent time, eat well, maintain a good schedule, all of that is really going to make this a lot easier for everybody. No one wants to be in this situation. We don't really want to be distance teaching, and I'm sure you don't really want to be distance learning, but it's what we've got, right? So I think we should make the best of it and try and make it the most positive experience that we possibly can. As the late, great Uncle Ben once said, with great power comes great responsibility. That's what we're saying for today. All right, if you get lost, if you don't know where you are on any particular day,
you're not sure what you should be doing, there's 4 key places to go in Google Classroom. I'm going to flip the tab over now to a Google Classroom to show you where those 4 areas are. So the first one is the Google Meet link. And that is up in the top bar here. You see that little icon with the camera inside the speech bubble? If ever you get kicked out of a synchronous meeting, which, trust me, it's really easy to do because the hang up button is right next to the mute button and they're the same color. And I can't tell you the number of times this last week I've accidentally hung up from a meeting when I should have just muted myself. So if that happens, don't panic. Go to Google Classroom, and there in the banner is that little icon. Click on it and it'll bring you right back into that Google Meet session. Up the top here are the 2 most important tabs on Google Classroom. Stream is where Miss Quarles and I are going to be posting our announcements. So any news, anything you need to know is going to be in that stream. There won't be any work posted in that stream. All of the classwork is going to be posted under this classwork tab here. And if I click on that, you can see that this is going to be arranged week by week. So this is this week, week 1, and there's only 2 things in there, which is the list of breakout groups for my class in period 1, and also a list of digital resources that you or your parents can tap into if things go wrong with your technology. Next week, there'll be week 2, week 3, week 4, etc. I'll also be recording our synchronous session. So if something happens and you miss that session, don't panic. If you go to Google Classroom, the recording of that session will be posted by the end of the day. So it's going to be quite easy to catch up if your schedule doesn't match up with mine. All right, so those are the 3 things within the particular classroom. A really good feature that all of you might want to use is the to-do list. If you go up in the top right-hand corner, here, left-hand corner, sorry, and go down to to-do, which is down here, that's going to give you all of the work that's due for all of your classes in one place. So if you've got deadlines coming up and you're not quite sure which is the most urgent piece of work you have to do, go into the to-do list and it has it all listed in the order in which you need to get it done. I found that very useful the last couple of weeks with all of the professional development work that we've had to do. All right, so that's my little, if in doubt, go to Google Classroom. All the rest of the stuff, right? The syllabus, how we're going to grade you, our policies for late work, all we can cover next week, unless you've got any burning questions today. But I'm going to do a deep dive on that with all of the classes individually next week. And that is it. That pretty much is the end of my presentation. So let me just end that and get back to the main screen. And there we go. All right, can you see me now? I'll take that as a yes. All right, so any questions? You can put them in the chat box, or yeah, let's just do the chat box for the moment. What did the other teacher say in her video? She just said she was really excited to see you, and that was about it, really, and introduced herself. But the other teacher, if you have Miss Quarles, you will find a video that she's going to post tonight, which is an introduction to her, which will help you get to know her a bit better. That is a really good question, Holden. Hands-on chemistry is really problematic in the world we're living in right now, because most of the chemicals that I have in the lab, we deal with in a very safe environment. That's why we wear goggles, and there's a whole bunch of safety procedures. So I can't really send you home chemicals in the post for you to do your own crazy experiments. However, where possible, Ms. Quarles and I are going to try and come up with experiments that will use household products. For instance, baking sodas are a really good chemical that we can use in a chemistry lab. Vinegar or citric acid is another one. So we will, if we can, try and get you doing some experiments at home. Jonathan, can a teacher require you to have your camera on? No. If you do not want to have your camera on, that is absolutely okay. However, when we meet next week, what I'm going to ask you to do, and I can see on the screen here, a whole bunch of you have your initials as your profile picture in Google. what we're going to do next week is collectively take some selfies, upload them into Google, and replace that with a selfie so that when I'm looking at the screen and your name is underneath there, I've got your face next to it as well. So I get a better idea of who I'm talking to. Yes, Holden. In fact, we do a lab later in the year testing what's called the pH of different household products. And in that lab, we do actually use shampoos and soap products. So you can look forward to that one. Does a drawing count? Asks Finn. There are many ways that we will be asking you to express your learning. We're going to be grading things a bit differently this semester. And in some of the summative assessments that we're going to do.
The penis song. Oh, no, he didn't. I'll get it. This is my penis song. I wish that I had.
Thank you. All right. Where was I? Completely lost my train of thought. What was the question? Does the drawing count? Yeah. Oh, there you go. So yeah. So we can get you to express your learning in many ways, and a drawing may be one of them. So you can look forward to that. Oh, you meant for the profile picture. Oh gosh. If it's a picture of you that's been turned into a drawing, like you can cartoonize yourself sometimes, as long as it looks a bit like you, so that I know it's you. Does that sound fair? Take that as a yes. All right, thumbs up from Finn. All right, keep those questions coming. I know you've got a bunch. You're just being shy right now. Fear, your picture is you. It probably is fear, but there are so many in this room right now. You are all about the size of a lentil on my screen. Once we get to normal class sizes of about 30 to 40 people, I'll have a better idea of what's on the screen. Oh, by the way, do you like my dog room? This used to be my dog room where the dogs lived, and I repurposed it into my classroom. So we're going to be hanging out in this room most of the time. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it. Some of you might recognize actually that is the periodic table from my classroom. I went in and snuck it out under my arm over the summer. Ah, Jonathan, how much of the class is memorization? Jonathan, I am not a fan of memorization. That to me is not learning. To me, learning is understanding something, right? And I don't see the point in memorizing something that you can look up on Google. That's an entire waste of your epic brain power. So I'm going to be steering you towards understanding things and understanding why certain patterns exist rather than getting you to memorize the pattern. And the trick of that is if you understand why the pattern exists, then somehow you kind of remember it anyway. So that to me is a much better way of teaching. You know, it's a shame because I normally play a trick on students at the beginning of the year where I tell them that their unit test is going to be memorizing the entire periodic table. But I've just let the cat out of the bag, so I can't do that now. Don't. All right, now I'm just standing here awkwardly. Have you got any questions about the technology that we're going to be using? I mean, to me, this is the biggest hurdle that we've got to overcome in the next week or so, is all of us getting used to how we run these meetings, how we use all of these products that we're going to be asking you to use, all of the extensions in Chrome. And I know there's a lot of concern about the technology that we're going to be using. So have you got any concerns about the tech that you're using or the tech that I'm using? So yes, I'm probably going to mangle your name here, and next week you can tell me how to pronounce your name. So I don't know, is it Zaira? Do you want to turn your mic on, Zaira, and tell me how you pronounce that?
It's Zaira.
Did I get it right? Yes. All right. Yes. So Google Classroom is kind of like Google. Think of Google Classroom as like the Commons, right? And we'll be using other products which you can imagine as being classrooms that come off the Commons. So we'll always come back into the Commons, that's our meeting place, but we'll occasionally go to Edpuzzle or to Jamboard or to Padlet or something like that. But we'll always, all our work will live inside Google Classroom. Thea, quoting the, is that the Independence? I think it is, isn't it? Let me see if I've missed any questions. How is Chemistry 1 different from Chemistry 2? Okay, so Chemistry 1 is the new NGSS curriculum. Most of you have done the NGS physics now, and the emphasis on that is really looking for patterns in nature and patterns in science. Chemistry 2, Advanced Chemistry, last year was really AP chemistry. The problem I've got this year is that we never got through all of the chemistry curriculum last year because it all went to heck in a handbasket when we had to evacuate the school. And so we didn't cover all the material necessary to jump straight into AP chemistry. So this year, Chemistry 2 is going to be the tail end of what would have been chemistry last year. So the first thing we'll be tackling is significant figures, mole ratios, Avogadro's number, that kind of thing. And then diving into the beginning of the AP curriculum. But because we're not tied to the AP curriculum this year, because there's no way we'll cover all the material before the test, we're just going to choose the best bits out of the AP curriculum. So if you're in Chemistry 2, the pressure's off for the AP exam, and we can just choose all the bits that are the most fun bits out of the AP curriculum. I'm really looking forward to it, actually. It's going to be fun. Do you need a notebook? I always keep a notebook anyway, right? I think it's a useful thing to do. Because we don't know who has printers at home, we can't be sending you stuff home to print. However, I always think it's a great idea whenever you're trying to learn something is to write it down yourself. It's called kinesthetic learning. The movement of writing down actually helps it stick in your brain. So yeah, I would recommend getting a notebook and making notes as you go through some of these activities. And it also makes a great study guide when you come back for the assessments at the end of the unit. Thank you. Is it Maker or Maca Alvarez? Come online. Tell me how you pronounce your name.
It's Maca Alvarez.
Hi, Maca. Thank you for the compliment. The other thing, which I'm really excited about, is my son. He had to move out of LA because of COVID, and he's working here, and his company said to him, you can spend anything you like on technology because we've sent you all home and you're not in an office anymore. And you can go on Amazon and buy anything you like for your home office. So he bought a standing up desk, which he decided he didn't like. So you'll notice that I'm standing up, I'm not sitting down, which I love. So I'm going to be teaching in a standy-uppy sort of way, which is more my thing. All right, how are we doing for time? 3:23. Mr. Costa, is there anything that you think I need to cover that I've forgotten so far?
No, I think you're good. Please keep the chat clear, you guys. If you have a real question, put it in there. Otherwise, text each other. Keep the chat clear.
Can you leave this up for a little bit at the end?
Yeah, absolutely. Gettysburg Address, thank you. Yeah, should have known that. Oh, here's another fun fact. Some point this year, I am going to become an American citizen. I'm currently studying for my citizenship test, and you guys can watch my transition in real time from English person to American person.
That's wonderful.
Yes. However, I'm not going to put on a fake American accent. You'll just have to live with this silly British one, I'm afraid.
I don't have an accent.
But apparently I do.
Are you British?
I am. I am both English and British, which is a distinction I can explain to you when we have some downtime.
Why? No, I think he's Australian.
Because I use words like mate. Yes, people often mistake me for an Australian.
I thought you were British.
So I'm from London. I grew up just south of London and then moved into London in my early 20s. And I lived there for quite a while. And then my wife and I moved here with our kids in 2001. It isn't fear. It is not as grey as it is here in the winter. You know what it's like here in the winter when all that cloud comes in from the Pacific and it just slams up against the coastal range, and it just and the Cascades, it just covers in this blanket of cloud. Well, England is an island, so whilst it does get a bit cloudy, the weather's a lot more changeable than in this city. Yes, people do drink coffee there. There is as many Starbucks in England as there are in the States, I think. That's a new thing, though. When I left the UK, there weren't many coffee shops, but now there's a gazillion. Do you have to be 18 to buy scissors? That's a good question. I'll have to ask my daughter. She lives over in London. They changed the laws quite a lot because they had a lot of problems with some violence with knives. And so they put laws on knives, and I think there may have been some effect on the purchase of scissors. I'm pretty sure kiddie rounded-ended scissors don't fall under that. Yes, I do, Grace. I have what's called a full British breakfast, or what we like to call the full Monty, which is toast, fried egg, bacon, fried tomato, baked beans, and if you're super into it, what's called black pudding, which is not my thing. It's a Scottish thing. It's basically blood sausage. Not nice. I wouldn't recommend it. So, Zaira, I like both. I start the day off with a cup of tea, and then I drink engine oil coffee for the rest of the day. I don't hate anyone, Thea. Everyone's lovely. Yes, I do, Eva. And again, it's such a shame that we can't be in person, because what I have done in the past is bring a jar of Marmite into class and let people try it. And I find it highly amusing because it generally makes people go green and try and wipe their mouth out with a paper towel. The Travis Scott burger, I can't say I have. Yes, Eva, Vegemite is the Australian version of Marmite. It's slightly different tasting, but if you've never had either, it's equally as gross. All righty. Well,
I take you on a shopping spree.
Thanks, Miles, for that contribution. Alrighty. Well, unless there are any more burning chemistry type questions, I'm going to say cheerio to everybody, and I'm going to be posting my own video, which tells you a little bit more about me sometime this evening. So you'll see that in Google Classroom. Otherwise, I'm going to see all you guys either Monday morning, later Monday morning, or first thing Tuesday morning. If you've got any questions about your schedule, send me an email. I do want to, one thing I really didn't emphasize in that presentation, which is something I want to point out now, is the key to this success, of this working between all of us, is communication, right? If you're having trouble getting an assignment done, send me an email. If you've got trouble with your technology, send me an email. Unless I know what's going on, there's nothing I can do to help you. It's not like a classroom where I can walk up to your desk and check in on you and see how you're getting on. So we have, all of us, me included, we have to be very proactive in communicating with each other and making sure that everyone knows what's going on. So please don't be shy, send me emails. I've always got my phone with me, and I will try and get a speedy response to you as quick as I can.